out there. I am your host. That's right. We are back. I am Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. It is an interview series. Can you believe that has been running 9 years? Because I can hardly believe it. You've been following and liking and commenting and sharing, and we love you for it. We love the participation that you've brought, and we so gratefully love the guests that we have brought to you. They have helped improve your personal life, grow your business, exposed you, and helped you be aware of amazing causes and amazing books to read, and that the really passionate, wonderful things they're doing with their purpose filled lives. And today, our guest is Sebastian. He's a first generation immigrant, 22-year-old full-time entrepreneur and trader. And if you would like to have a life that you can do whatever you want, when you want, go where you want, and have what you need, then this is a conversation you're not going to want to miss. Welcome, Sebastian.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor.
I am super excited to have you. I have to tell you, there's a little tinge of pain. I'm 52 and fabulous, and I wish that at 22 I had figured out the magic behind having all the resources I needed so I could have my days for creativity and traveling and growth and just focusing on people. One of the things that is, I've done it before in my lifetime, but it's something I want to do on the regular, is just to be able to leave that $100 or even $1,000 tip every time I walk away from a restaurant table, to be able to give some other person that you really don't know or have connection to and have no expectation of getting anything back from, just to be able to light up someone's day like that. And this is the kind of life that you've built for yourself, and that's exciting and interesting and fascinating. So I need to stop talking, and you need to tell us how you achieved this in your journey and what drove you for this to be your focus.
Well, that's a great question, Jessica. And what you said was always to me the most important part. We as humans, we're creative creatures. We're creatures that want to help each other out. And we're born into a system that doesn't always allow for that, right?
Mm.
We are blessed to be in this country because of the amount of opportunities that it provides. And I'm thankful for that like no one else, because I came here as an immigrant. Now,
Mm.
what I found was that there is an American dream, but there's also an American trap, right? And it's a game, and a lot of people fall into that simply
Mhm.
by not having the literacy of knowing what game they're even playing in the first place, right?
Mhm.
So that makes it really difficult for us to be able to achieve that point where we can just be creative and live the lives that we want to live. Now,
Mhm.
I developed a very deep passion for that from not just being an immigrant, but watching my parents from a young age just work like 12-hour shifts every single day and be exhausted. I was an
Mhm.
only child as well, so my dad played the role of dad and brother to me, right? He was my best
Mhm.
friend growing up my whole life. And I saw how this system, from the need of money, kind of drained that out of him and drained that creativity and that innocence that he always had. And that broke my heart when I was younger. So I knew that this wasn't what was in store for me. I knew that there was more to see. I knew that there was other people around me seeing so much success, and it became a question of how do I crack that code? How do I figure out what they're doing? Right. So I
Mhm.
was as young as 14 when I started researching the stock market. I started researching entrepreneurship. I started reading a lot of books extensively on the subject. And I just got straight into it. I began investing, I began trading, I began doing options trading, even with a custodial account because I was only 14. And I learned the way that you have to learn today, right? This industry of finances, unfortunately, is a very rough one, where your only options that you're really left with are to pay for really expensive courses or try to do it all on your own. And there really is no right way of doing it, it feels like sometimes, right?
Mhm.
So I learned the hard way, and I ended up getting at a point where I pretty much perfected that skill for myself. I was only 18 and I was already living off of just my trading. And I realized that not many people are able to get to that point because of the industry. There's so much gatekeeping, and if not gatekeeping, there's scam in the financial world, right? There's
Mhm.
so much that pushes people away of an industry that is so essential for us. That is literally the knowledge of the game, right? That is how you prevent yourself from falling into that trap with finance, right?
Yeah,
So
but also I'll say this. I will say that because people work so very hard for their resources and their money, things like trading. I mean, so my husband and I do not go to the casinos, and we've bought a handful of lottery tickets in our lifetime, and we don't, play poker or gamble or because we work too hard to risk it. And trading sounds so scary and risky, and I was told, oh, options, though, no, no, you don't want to, that's very scary. And so there's this solution out there that is possible, but yes, there's also a lot of fear around it. And I will really quickly, I should have done this earlier, but if you're watching our show right now, I am the Italian mother of seven, but I'm not your mama, and we are not giving you a medical, legal, or financial advice right now. We are sharing Sebastian's story, his journey, his knowledge, and you, before making any moves or doing anything with your dollars or money, should seek a professional and
mhm,
work with a professional. And maybe that's Sebastian. Maybe you choose and decide to work with him as a coach. But we are not liable for all of your choices. You are grown up out there. You're liable for your choices. That is our disclaimer. We are sharing journeys, success, and stories here. This is entertainment, not going out to tell you what to do with your funds. But I'm interested in learning, but I would never touch trading or options without really professional help, because
absolutely.
there's
And you
no
know
way
what's
I would ever want to make that kind of risk or gamble. But I do want you to keep telling your story. I needed to put out our little bit of a disclaimer there to keep everybody on track.
Absolutely. Well, you're not just your disclaimer, but your what you just shared with me about you and your husband about your adversity to that risk in the world of options. That leads perfectly to what I was talking about, my story,
Mhm,
because that is exactly the case for a lot of people. Your money is way
mhm,
too valuable, and the market is way too complicated a lot of the time to try to do it all on your own,
mhm,
right? And oh my God, guys like myself, like people in the financial industry, people that are the same roles as I am. Of course, I take a very different approach to this because I want to be the solution in this industry. But everyone else in this industry, they see that. They see how people need money. They see how they have no options and they become predators in this financial world, right? So
mhm,
when you see a lot of $5,000 courses that don't really help people, that don't really educate them or anything, and they kind of force them to already take a risk in just purchasing that course before ever
mhm.
even learning anything, right? And they, man, my friend told me of this one thing, and it broke my heart.
Well, don't say any names. Just give us the
Oh,
idea. Okay. Just checking. We're live.
but my friend had mentioned to me that his mother had gone to this financial seminar. These guys were doing essentially the same thing that I do as far as their service, right?
Mhm,
Um, there's one thing that you can do in the world of trading, which you always should do. There's something called paper trading, right? Where you
mhm.
trade with practice money. And it lets you basically,
Oh, I love that.
yeah, it lets you basically test everything out without ever seeing any risk, just to see what would happen, right?
Oh.
Now that's a great way of not having to expose yourself to any possible consequence and just learning and having
Mhm,
basically infinite experience without ever losing a dollar, right? Now these guys at this financial seminar, this, by the way, paper trading is free. Anyone can do it. You literally just have to download whatever brokerage. They usually have them, right?
mhm,
These
mhm.
guys are selling access to paper trade, which again is free, for $2,000 on the low
Oh,
end, right?
no.
So you see what's going on. If people just knew that they had that tool already available to them, they
Mm.
wouldn't be falling into all these different things that they try to sell, right?
Well, I didn't
So
know about this. It's like
there you
Monopoly
go.
money. I love Monopoly
Yeah,
money.
it's monopoly money. You just put it in there. So what I tell everyone that I work with is, listen, I'm going to be sending you basically the opportunities that I'm using myself, right? These are the trades that I use to pay my bills and stuff like that. I'm going to teach you what you're seeing on the market. I'm going to teach you everything top to bottom because it's a delicate world. It requires fine tuning, and yeah, there's risk, but
Mm,
risk is not something to run away from. It's something to manage. As an
mhm.
entrepreneur of any kind, you know that. You
Never
understand.
is.
Mhm. But it's a
Mhm,
question, risk never means loss. That's where the 99% of people get lost in this financial world, and not just finances, but in entrepreneurship as well. Where,
mhm,
I mean, if you read a book like Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? What is the contrast between the rich and the poor? He talks about the rich get
mhm.
richer, the poor get poorer. And the biggest thing, in my opinion, my biggest takeaway was risk adversity. The poor want
Mhm.
to run away from risk. The rich want to manage it, right?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
for example, in the world of trading, yeah, there's risk, right? But you become very good at understanding, for example, my numbers. If I have an 80 to 90% win rate, right? That's already pretty cool. But what if I take it a step further and whenever I lose, I want a maximum loss of only 15% at most, right? And a minimum profit of anywhere between 30 to 80%, right?
Mhm.
Uh, there you can already see the risk management built in. Is even if we lose, we don't care. It's not really a problem. We just move on to the next trade, and that's perfectly fine. It's calculated,
Mhm.
right? Entrepreneurship
Mhm.
works the same exact way.
So as
Now,
long as the math works, so as long as the
exactly.
math works. Now, the other thing though, I think that's volatile and uh, concerning and causes fear. I'm trying to word my words carefully, so let me think about them in my brain. Um, is the economy and politics. And, we won't also identify any of those directly, but we'll just say that, it's an ever changing economic situation. And politically, historically, that has had effect on, although I don't understand the exact values or how they connect. I know that in some way they do connect, that the
Yep,
stock market is affected by what's happening politically and economically and globally in the world in different
absolutely.
countries throughout. And I think that's the other piece that makes it feel like it's so big
Mhm.
that how could the average person participate?
Well, that is an amazing point because you're absolutely right. These are all the things that you're telling me, and I love that we're having this conversation because you're coming to me from perspective of someone who isn't so well versed in the market, right? So I love that because you're representing the exact fears that so many people do already have. So that being said, yeah, absolutely. This is something that makes it so overwhelming for people is they think, there's so much going on here with the world news and all these different things that could impact the stock prices or whatever it may be. And while that's true, it does play definitely a role. You definitely see things move
Mhm.
around quite a bit. That volatility is actually never a bad thing because what you don't want to get trapped in is a mentality that you're there to serve the market. It's the other way around. The market is there to serve you, right?
Mm,
Um, Even back when it was created in the 1920s, it was made for the average working man and woman to be able to beat inflation. That got
mm,
literally robbed from us from the gatekeepers as big investors emerged. They deliberately pushed away the small guys so they could better control the market. Now,
mm,
if people were just more well versed in this, which is my purpose, um, what you learn very quickly is news actually don't impact the market as much as you might think. There
mm,
are occasionally very major news that do run the market around, and that is valid. But what the only thing that really moves the market is how many investors are buying or selling shares, right? So
mhm,
it's almost like they're reacting to each other more than anything else. So if you can understand how to read the charts and understand, hey, everyone here sold, it's at a low point, it looks like it can't go any lower, maybe it's a good time to buy, right? It's very simple market dynamics to put it in that way. But beyond that, uh, what we just saw right now, actually in the market very recently, was a crash in tech stocks, right? Now, this
mm,
because China released some pretty big news as well as the tariffs and all this stuff coming around, and these tech stocks do
mhm,
depend a lot on foreign trade. Now,
mhm,
that crash is great for two reasons, two huge reasons. Number one, it's an opportunity to buy cheaper on companies that were previously overpriced, frankly, right?
mhm,
But beyond that, when you trade options, you can actually profit even if the market's coming down, right? So you
mhm,
actually don't care whether the market's going up or down at all. You're able to profit either way. It's there to work for you. And that
mm,
mentality switch from feeling like this is something it's like a wild animal it's bucking around as opposed to a domesticated animal that works for you, that is where
mhm.
that comes from.
It's fascinating too because when we were watching commercials during the Super Bowl, and one of them was a country I won't mention, but a country made a commercial to share with Americans how the purpose of this commercial, what a great trade partner they were, what a great, ally and collaborator they were. And I said to my husband, why are they making this commercial to the average person? They think we have some sort of control over this. you know, like how are we involved? And so it's fascinating to listen to you because what you're saying is if we shift our mindset, we actually have more control than we think. It's funny too. My husband and I, when we hear in the news or on the radio or even in commercials now, it even blows my mind more and more. You're hearing it. Oh, the state of the economy is bad or whatever. I always say, well, our state of economy is pretty good. How's your economy, honey? And I always say, well, no, we're doing pretty well. Everything's good. I think it's they're doing it in order to have people think this way so that they will take actions that behave a certain way, and then it all just begins to flow like dominoes. And I think what I hear you saying is if we decide that our personal economy state is healthy, strong, and well, and can be protected, no matter which way it shifts in the world, then we will have strategy. We can develop and learn strategies like this, especially if we work with a coach or someone like you who has already achieved this.
Right. And I could not emphasize more how valuable what you just said was personal economy, right? I am of the same exact mindset. I think the economy for those who are not walking in at least something semi-entrepreneurial is
Mm,
definitely worse than what it was 20, 30 years ago. Because 20, 30 years ago, you could have an average paying job and still be able to buy a property basically wherever you wanted. And that property today is probably worth $700,000, right? Especially here in Florida, it's gotten so crazy. But
mhm,
point being, yeah, I think the economy is worse for those who are not walking in the entrepreneurial, but for those who are, I think there's more opportunity today than there has ever been before. So what
mhm,
we so commonly see is everyone is, people like who do have these walks going on are like, what's going on? What do you mean the economy's bad? I'm doing great, right? And then you see a lot of people that are saying, I'm working 3, 4 jobs. So
mhm,
investing or owning a business or doing something on the side has become almost a norm today, which I love because previously
mhm,
in that mindset as a community. Previously, our
mhm,
mindset was let me just work and retire and that's it, right? But nowadays, everyone that you talk to has something going on. Everything you talk, everybody has some side passion, side goal that they're working on, and that is where we find our liberty. That is where we find that financial independence come in. And even for those who don't have the time to pursue something, that is a reason why I made it my purpose to educate so much in the world of investing because it's one of those things that's not time consuming. It's designed to be passive income because
mhm,
it is integrated into us to trade our time for money, but that is
mhm,
not what we're meant to do.
mhm,
Our time is priceless, and we put $1 on it by selling it for
mhm,
15
mhm.
bucks an hour, right?
Yeah.
But if we figure out that way to instead of trading time for money, we trade money for money, then you can
Mhm,
start to see and leverage that cash and start seeing freedom come in. And the opportunity, like you said in the beginning, to be creative, to bless
mhm,
others, right? To
mhm.
have that impact, not just on your own finances, but on the whole world, right? We don't get that anymore.
Yeah, but we do have to pay attention and use our brain, I think. And that's something. So I was in a room yesterday and something fascinating occurred to me. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I added a division to my company,
Mm,
and I added a virtual assistant membership program. And when I started going in, I did it because 10 times in 1 week, I had the question, how do you do everything? How are you doing that? Oh, how do you do that? And so you have to pay attention to what people are asking or what's happening or what's trending too, because um, when I went into rooms, when I started that program, every networking, virtual networking rooms is what I'm talking about, virtual networking events and things. I would say, hey, I'm starting this virtual assistant membership. Every ear perked up and you could feel the attention. I could see the eyeballs on me, right? Well, now everyone under the sun has a virtual assistant agency or a virtual assistant opportunity, right? And now what's happening is AI bots are coming in, and about two-thirds of the tasks that virtual assistants once did are going to be done by custom built AI bots, right? And agents that are doing these workflow of tasks for you. Well, we've been using technology and software, right, to automate our business and our processes as entrepreneurs. And now we're just taking that to the next level where we're training a tool, an AI agent, if you would, to do a series of workflow processes similar to the automation technology that's been around for a very long time. Email sequencing and all of these things have been around. People just didn't consider or see them as AI. And I was in a conversation with someone who was like, oh, I don't know, this AI thing, it might be like NFTs. It might just be all the rage and then go away. I'm like, I don't think
No,
so.
yeah, it's very, very different.
And so to secure not just our agency, because I have lots of different streams of revenue. So if the VA agency wasn't a part of our company anymore, I wouldn't be devastated. However, my virtual assistants, I've had 60 to 100 of them at any given time throughout my time doing this. I want them to be safeguarded. So I'm making sure they're learning really extensively how to make those automations softwares work. So things like Go High Level, because that's all the rage right now and everyone has that system. Because there's always going to need a human hand for the initial touch for the
Exactly.
automations to create. And secondly, we're becoming, and I'm paying for training for all of them to learn how to build these AI agents that do the workflows, because the same people who don't want to do the task or don't understand the technology or just don't have time and don't want to are still going to need a human being to program and customize the bot for. So I'm watching and paying attention to what's coming and job protecting and safeguarding my VAs, because if 2/3 of the task in the next 5 years for VAs disappear, what are going to happen to those VAs? They're going to drop their rates down to, $1 an hour, and they're going to be fighting for the little bit of work that's out there. And if they're not a high level expert in something, then they're going to lose a lot of their resourcefulness or livelihood. And not my team, not on my watch, not in my care. So I'm going to make sure that our team has what they need, whether they're with me or out there on their own, to care for their families and themselves, and they continue to evolve their skills based on what's happening in the world. So we do have to pay attention, is my point. Whether you're talking stocks or you're talking entrepreneurship, and need in our world, in our society. So, any thoughts about AI going away anytime soon? I
Oh,
don't think
absolutely. As a matter of fact, the biggest tech stock. So there's three big categories of stocks. We have growth stocks, dividend stocks, and blue chip stocks, right? All three, which are fantastic. Dividends, of course, are when companies pay you for holding onto the shares. Blue chip
so.
stocks are companies that basically, no matter when you buy, you're effectively guaranteed to make some profit over the next 10 years because they consistently beat their all-time highs. And growth stocks are companies that generally outperform the market, right? So an example of all three would be like Apple. And right now the come up is Nvidia because they had a lot of stuff going on with AI. They're on the front lines of that. And I
Mhm.
don't see that going away anytime soon because it is a new industrial revolution, basically, right?
Mhm.
And NFT stuff was just whatever. It was just one
Fad.
aspect. It has been
A
a
bit of
much
a fad.
bigger thing happening. So I never really messed around with NFTs, and I'm glad
Me
people have
neither.
lost hundreds of thousands in that.
Yeah.
So that being said, yeah, but the concept of AI has, like you said, it's always been around, really.
Yeah, it's been
Whereas you
around
have
a
like
long
email
time.
automation and stuff like that, now
Mhm.
it's just gonna be a lot more sophisticated. So,
Mhm.
like everything else, like just like trading, just like entrepreneurship, it's a question of positioning yourself to take advantage of those things. And you don't
Mhm.
have to be an Elon Musk level scientist to make your own AI or anything. No, but you can incorporate those things into your own businesses, right? So
Mhm.
if I were to give some advice as far as anyone who has a business, the biggest thing that you need to do is find ways to get the work done for you, right?
Mhm.
You need to have your time freed up to make all the bigger moves, but you want to build essentially a highway, right? That was my first thing. How do I minimize the time that it takes for me to acquire and work with a client so that I can work on either bringing in more or perfecting the product or being creative, like we talked about earlier, and coming up
Mhm.
with new aspects of my product or solution or whatever it may be, right? So I figured I need to build a website, a landing page. I need to build email automation to
Mhm.
automatically text people or email them. All those things are, of course, bare bone essentials, right? And save so much time. And the
Mhm.
next step of that, I believe that that's pretty much the next step of business is as soon as you possibly can, hire people. As soon as you
Mhm.
possibly can. As an entrepreneur, the only direction or steps that you should ever be taking, and this is going to sound funny, but the only step you should be taking is a step backwards, right?
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is whatever job you were doing at some point, you got to get someone else to do that for you so you can take a step back,
Mhm.
right? Chances are they're not going to do it as good as you at first, but the purpose of humanity has always been to what? To build. And as an entrepreneur, you're building something. At
Mhm.
first, you always start overworked and underpaid. That is the curse of every entrepreneur at first. It's always the case. But because you're building something, what happens later? while everyone else was getting paid more than you working their average jobs that whole time that you were working for $0 your first few years in business, right? Next thing you know, you're getting paid just as much as they are by doing a fraction of the work. And next thing you know, you're getting paid overpaid and underworking, right? That's what happens when you build something. And that works in every aspect. Building a relationship, building a business, building a portfolio and trading, it's always that same dynamic, right? So having said that, I do think that AI is going to be a big facilitation for everybody. I think it's actually going to be much more beneficial to the small businesses than it is to the big
Mhm.
ones. Because for the first time, this is like, man, we're getting stuff. It's like the internet. Back then, you needed to have brick and mortar. You already needed to have a good couple 100,000 in the pocket to be able to start a
Mhm.
business, right? Nowadays, you can do it for free pretty much. There's so much opportunity, and AI is one more step because it
Mhm.
is essentially an employee pretty much, right? On whatever you need it to be.
Well, I think I see AI a lot like when people originally began coding,
Mhm.
right? So, what has happened is we now suddenly can train a tool, a software tool, to learn and be and do and achieve and tweak and get better at it and repeat when they finally get it perfect functions that in order to do that before we had the ability. We had software developers and programmers and coders who were creating all those things to happen. Now, the average person can put a few prompts in to the right kinds of software, and suddenly you have this thing that's doing this thing for you, and you don't have to know how to develop software or code or whatever. And so I think that that's one of the other big pieces that's happening. And speaking of, they have, and I'm not suggesting them, remember our disclaimer, people, before. Are you still paying attention? We're not giving you financial or legal advice, but I have heard that there are AI and bots doing trading work. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually have some on my platform myself. I included it as I just gave it to everyone. I pay a lot of money for it, but I gave everyone access to this for free in my platform. It's always been my philosophy with everything. And what I very quickly learned is AI's, how do I explain it? It's not at that level yet. AI can't do it yet.
Hmm.
A lot of again, it's so sad, but a lot of guys in my industry, they talk about their AI bots and they say this is the solution. This bot will solve trading for you. You're going to be a millionaire overnight. All this stuff that's just crap. And they'll put these ads out talking about how they basically solve trading, but no, because the market is far too contextual for a bot to do it. At least for now. So
Hmm.
despite me having one of these things, what I quickly learned was this bot is cool for maybe as an extra bit of what's the word? Uh backing for my trades. So if I
But
already
you
want to place
still
a
have to
trade,
train it, right? It's like
exactly,
a small child that
exactly.
doesn't know anything but what you teach it, right?
Mhm. Exactly right. So I use the bot mostly just to as an extra backing to my trades that I'm already thinking about doing. If the bot tells me that it's also looking at the same thing, that's cool. But I find that the bot oftentimes it's fairly accurate, but it misses a lot of the human context that you only get to see as a human being analyzing the market for yourself. I think that's still the case for a lot of AI. And I think that's part of the reason why now there's such a big shift happening because we are almost like learning more by trying to teach AI and learning more about business by trying to use it as an easy way out, right? And I
Mhm.
think it comes with a big shift in mindset for everyone because they're looking at one of the big key things that so many people don't have, and you need in entrepreneurship, and that's delegation, right? That's
Mhm.
understanding that, for example, you as an entrepreneur, Jessica, there's a lot of things that you are not an expert in. But you guess what? You can work with people who are experts. That's the
Mhm.
beauty of it. You get to leverage experience as a leader, right? Now,
Mhm.
for the first time, everyone in the world is in that position, right? I think that's going to come with an amazing shift in mindset, and we're going to see more business owners than ever before.
Mhm. I think it's awesome too. And one of the things I'm working on teaching is, and I started teaching this years ago when we first got, I've been on the business platform LinkedIn since the early 2000s, almost since they launched it. And from the very beginning, because I'm 52 and fabulous, and I know the old school, how to win friends, influence people, and door to door knocking, and real live hard contracts that you had to press hard 3 copies because there was carbon in there. That's how you multiplied your efforts and duplicated things was a carbon copy. And what I try to teach people is the excitement of, okay, yes, there's this new technology, but it's yes and don't
Ex-
lose the authentic relationship, human contact, human touch. And that can still happen if done correctly with AI, right? It is about expanding your love and your genuine authenticity and your genuine relationships and your genuine community by leveraging how you nurture them, because the AI agent is not going to nurture your community without your guidance, and if you want to send, daily love messages or post things to feature an individual, or give them gratitude and write more testimonials and truly edify people at a much vaster span, because you genuinely want to. But like you said, leveraging time, and I can review 50 recommendations, testimonials, and kind words of 50 people that I care about, and put my personal sprinkle of hand touched love on 50 of those in the amount of time that it would take me to write 2 or 3 from scratch, you
ex-
know? And so I think it's remembering that we can do this and that, and they can stay together. And when we do them together, we can do them at a much more profound, massive scale, and making much more impact and leaving a lot more legacy,
Mhm.
for people beyond, our time lot on this beautiful planet. So we've talked so much. Is there anything else you want to share about your journey before we give a tip to everybody out there? I know we've given a lot of tips, but I want to give an official tip, as we move through our show here.
Well, I suppose there's just one, I guess you could call it an anecdote from my journey that happened not terribly long ago, but uh, my parents were very non-entrepreneurial out of fixation on consistency and promise of their 9 to 5s. And what happened not too long ago was they both lost their jobs at the same time, right?
Mm,
Now, my parents had always, of course, wanted me to go to college and do all this and that, but I was so faithful in my vision as an entrepreneur, and I had so much confidence in that. Even before I had achieved much of anything, I just knew that this was what was going to work for me. That I listened to myself and I kept walking my own way. I knew that this concept of this promise of safety and consistency would never work, because ultimately you're just putting the risk in someone else's hands and you're dedicating your
mhm,
blood, sweat, and tears to someone else's dream, right?
mhm,
And so they both lost their jobs at the same time. And I learned that there was nothing riskier for them to have done in this entire life that they lived, 20 years working for this job, to be kicked out on their butts. The riskiest thing that they could have possibly done there was staying exactly where they were at. And thankfully, because I walked my road and I had that faith in whatever gave me that, uh, I was able to help them through that time. And I mean, now we're looking at, they never even were homeowners before. Now we're looking at getting a house for them, right? So, and I guess that kind of comes into the tip that we had, right, lined up. But that is one of those things that I always believe, don't run away from risk, manage it. Don't put your dice in the hands of someone else. Life is risky no matter what, and you
mhm,
have to take advantage of your own circumstances. You have to put that
mhm,
in control into your own hands at the very least.
mhm. I love that. And so your tip is, don't run away from risk, manage it, right?
That, yeah, absolutely is going to be one of the biggest ones for me. I think that was a shifting point in my whole career, was really just understanding that no matter what I do, I'm going to take some losses. But the beauty of entrepreneurship and life in general is you can take 1,000 losses. It takes one win to make it all more than okay. Once you make it once, you made it, period. And you're more than set for life, pretty much.
That's beautiful. How can they find you, Sebastian, if they wanted to? What's a good website or a way to locate you?
Well, there's two things. My website is stocksuni.com. That's stocks dot u sorry, stocksuni.com. But I'm not always a fan of just sending people to my website because I think that everyone has their own I want to have a conversation with people. I want to see where they're at and what they need in their finances and in their lives. And if they're interested in learning how to trade, I also want to see, how I can help them exactly. Right.
Mhm.
So I always prefer people to reach out to me, either my calendar, which I do believe I sent the link. Uh,
Mhm. We'll put that in the article and the description of this later. So
yeah,
yeah.
I do always
Yeah.
send out a calendar link, or just shoot me a text on my phone number. Just like a little,
Mhm.
hey, Sebastian, if you could speak with me and help me out with finances, I'd appreciate that. And that's cool. And my phone number is 407-952-4871. And that's what
And
I'd love for.
yeah, and you have to get in line behind me because I'm definitely looking at this as an additional revenue stream for my husband and I have his cell phone first. So I'm just telling you, get in line behind me. Okay. So now, one of the things we started in the very beginning of our show series from show number one, and you all out there already know, but Sebastian's new, so we're gonna ask him. You guys get typing. We want to hear from you out there. What is a cause that is close to your heart? Because when you have massive amount of resources, you can make a massive amount of impact and
Mhm.
legacy for your community, your family, your friends, your people, your generations beyond you, and just those causes of people that you may never meet in your life, but you want to support with time, treasure, or talent. Sebastian, give us a cause that's close to your heart.
Well, there's one that I found out about pretty recently, actually, and it falls perfectly in line with what I want to do. I believe that so it's called Operation Hope, and the whole
Mm,
point of this is financial literacy for everyone, right? The
I love it.
the same purpose that I've got, right? They're in that same world, and I think that that's beautiful. Now, obviously, financial literacy often comes with a lot of stuff that's a little bit intangible and hard to apply. So I try
Mhm,
to put a bit more boots on the ground with what I do, but I
mhm,
always respect this effort of trying to make people more literate of this game because it has been abusive to us. I mean, even
mhm,
when the school system, we all hear about it all the time. It was literally designed just to generate more employees, never
mhm,
business owners, never entrepreneurs, never investors, right?
mhm,
So there is this ongoing and perpetual abuse happening to us, right?
mhm.
So I believe I mean, Operation Hope and just about any nonprofit financial organization like that, I think that that's doing God's work, in my opinion. It's freeing people.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that my daughter, our youngest 13-year-old, is part of a Montessori school. And at this school today, one of their main goals for their education is they have built a small business as a class, as a middle school class. They
That is
joined committees. They came up with the concept and idea. They decide what they're going to do. They decide what profit level they want to make, and so they generated and created homemade lollipops. And so they're selling those to the school community and the parents and things today as we come through, but they're learning and then they're checking what are their results, what success did they have, not did they sell them all, but also was there a profit, and what did they have to pay for advertising and marketing and all of these different fascinating things. So I'm loving that she's having this kind of experience. So I want you to know there's hope in the schools.
that is so beautiful. I'm so happy, and I think that's a recent change because I definitely did not grow up in schools like that.
Well, no, and none
That
of my
is
other children
so
were either.
amazing, and I'm so
Yeah.
happy to hear that because, man, that's stuff that took me so long to figure out. I mean, cost of
Mhm.
advertising, the profit and loss of making a product or whatever, all those things, and it's so again, just
Mhm.
planting in the minds of kids so they see that and they're like, "That's cool."
Mhm.
That starts so
Now
wow.
this is not a public school, so we haven't come that far, but
Well, tell me what school it is. I wanna put my kids there whenever I get kids.
yeah, I would love for the public school to make changes and things like, mindset, and goal setting and time blocking and outsourcing and what tasks they need to do and understand, and then learning how to, delegate. I mean, all of this I think could be taught in the very beginning in school systems. I'm with you. But I love the nonprofit you shared, and thank you for that. And we love the ones you're sharing. And when you're kind enough to put something in the comments, you just might share a cause that someone needs today, or they know someone who needs that. So we're spreading awareness just by hitting the share button and typing in the comments. So you're a hero already. And thank you. And I hope we've inspired someone to do something good today or 10 years from now when they watch the replay of this video. You know, we're not going anywhere. We're about to have our 10-year anniversary next year in 2026. So Profound Professionals doesn't seem to be going away or anywhere. We are not a fad. Now, going back to the classics and even the newest, latest, and greatest, how about a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business? And you know, if you're an author out there, type your book in. We're happy to share our posts throughout our community to promote you and your book. And if you have one that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business, that book might just be the one that transforms someone's life today. But how about you, Sebastian? How about a book that meant something so much to you?
Well, I always have it right here. That's what I was looking at right here. I think just for everyone, there's some other books, but Rich Dad Poor Dad is just such a essential for developing mindset. Uh, I actually recently had a weird interaction with a potential client that had reached out to me from another podcast, and it was so funny because they had asked me about, hey, what book should I read for investing? And usually there aren't a lot of good ones. So I said to them, hey, you know what? I mean, maybe I could give you one, but I would rather speak with you directly and just talk to you about investing myself, right? And they said, no, because I want to build the mindset first. And I was so surprised, someone that actually, okay, wanted to really read. So I told them, read this book. And this is someone that never had this mindset. They read it in one day. And they got back to me the next. I thought that this client was just going to disappear completely, right? No, gets back to me the very next day, signs up for my business and says, I got it now. This book, I mean, I just understand it so much more. The mindset of becoming an investor, the mindset of having your money work for you, of leveraging everything that you have. That was, to me, that was the biggest testimony of this book. Not even what it did to me, but what I saw it do to someone that had never been a part of this world and had just been looking to maybe dabble into it. Getting so hooked on something as to finish it in a single day is impressive. This is how many pages is this? This is like 300 something, almost 400 pages. That's crazy, you know? So, I mean, that speaks for itself.
I love that. And you know, the biggest excitement I had. So last year, my word for the year was alignment. So I was working really hard on getting things aligned. So really understanding my own personal vision, my mission, what legacy I wanted to leave, aligned spiritually, aligned with my health, aligned with my relationships, and my success and my money. And then this year, I decided that my word was abundance in all its positive forms. I was really at a point, and many times I've written it down, and many times I've said, this is the year that I want to get to the point where, uh, you know, I have some of it happening, but I want 90% of my money to work harder for me than I work for money. And I really, really love that you said that. And that is where I am this year. And I think that's why you came in to my world this year. So our money is going to work so much harder for us than we ever work for our money again. That is the ultimate goal for me, to make the shift of that being the case truthfully 30% of the time versus 80. You know, we want it to be 80% of the time. So I really want to increase that percentage of where and how that's happening in our world. And I think you're going to be a big part of that, Sebastian. So I'm super excited.
I'm so honored to hear that, especially from such a dedicated entrepreneur such as yourself. I mean, you've got everything going on, and you got a great show. That's beautiful to see. Genuinely, it is one of those things that just by being in these rooms, and even if I was watching your episodes, it opens doors. Just knowing that someone else has done it or is doing it, because it shows, and it's a reason why poor communities stay poor, because they never see anyone making it, right?
Mhm.
So now we have the internet. You being here, there's someone out there that needs this door open for them and needs to see these people doing things, and you're that person for them. So, I mean, I congratulate you on what you're doing here. This is an amazing place to be.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. Now, talk to us. You have a book coming on the streets here soon. Talk to us about your book.
Yeah, absolutely. So, still deciding on a title, but I am looking to get it published very, very soon. I am mostly thinking about the whole entirety of the book. It's what the industry doesn't tell you.
Mm,
It's the straight to the point, what you really need to learn about the world of finances, the world of investing, and the world of entrepreneurship. Because you get a lot of smoke screens when it comes to learning about
mhm,
this stuff. A lot of, I mean, I remember the first time that I attended any kind of course of investing, it was like 12 hours in total. I paid a lot of money for this, but it was like 12 hours in total. And the first 6 hours was just mindset talk, which is one
mhm,
of those things that it's always pretty, it's always cool to hear, and it is important. But
mhm,
I mean, I could go on YouTube and just watch motivational videos. I pay a lot of money to be here and learn about specifically trading and investing and stuff like that, right?
mhm,
They do that a lot. They kind of make it sound pretty, and by the end of it, you realize that you actually learned very few things, right? Now,
mhm,
that on top of the industry itself already being in shambles is the reason why I'm publishing this book, and it's going to be all about how to master this, how to really get this into your hands and use it to your advantage, and use all these tools that you were born with. They belong to you. They were taken from you though, right? So it's a book to empower people in the financial world. It's a book to enlighten people in the entrepreneurial world and to better have them manage their own lives and be a part and present in their lives. How many of us are not present in our lives just because we're
mhm,
so consumed by the lack of money? They say that money is the root of all evil, but no one ever robs someone because they were so rich, right? The lack
mhm,
of money is. It
mhm,
robs us from our own families sometimes, right?
mhm.
So that's my purpose with that book. And hopefully I'll have it published by sometime March or April.
I love that. I love that. I'm super excited for you. I am super impressed with you. And, just a tiny bit of healthy jealousy that I didn't manage this when I was 22. Did I say that already? Okay. But you know what? Better to get there than not to get there at all. Right. So
Absolutely.
I love that you're doing this. I love how you're spending your life. So now people work with you. Are they coaching one on one? Are you doing group coaching? Are you building online courses, workshops? How are you designing how people are coming in to receive this amazing knowledge from you?
So I love that question because you literally said, I mean, everything you said, all of the above. I do every single one of those things. And it's all for, and I've extensively studied to always make sure that I am never being beat. It is the most affordable prices anywhere in the entire industry. That is deliberate so that this is something that is accessible to people. But yeah, I do one on ones. I do workshops. I do seminars. I do group meetings. I do daily meetings every single day with all my client. I'm over 1,000 people in here. Now, of course, they require mostly just attention when they're starting off, and then after that, they're pretty much okay with the group stuff, and that's how I am able to manage myself so effectively. But everything that you just said, seminars, workshops, daily meetings, live meetings, group meetings, one-on-ones, all those things I do because people need that attention. Your money
Mhm,
is, again, it's so valuable, and you work so hard for it just to have it squandered. By not knowing what you're doing, right? People need this
mhm.
attention more than anything else. So I look to be that solution.
I love that. This has been so much fun for me. I hope you've had fun on the show today with us.
Yeah.
This has been amazing. And if you're watching out there and you're thinking, well, wait, I can make a difference in people's lives. I've got a book that's going to be released. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. I can help people in different aspects of their life or different aspects of their business success. Then you should get on our show. Reach out to our team and we'll let you know just the details of what to do next to get booked here. And you never know, we may soon be featuring you. But until we do that, we're going to ask Sebastian as we close out today for a final thought, a piece of information or inspiration as we go today.
Wow. Well, I mean, we've already spoken about so many great things, but if I had to say just one final thought, and this is a part of my journey that I hadn't spoken of yet, it's something I learned very recently, and you actually briefly spoke about it with alignment, right? I think
Mm,
alignment. This is my year of alignment, right? I had my year of abundance, but this is my year of alignment now. Uh, what we spoke about right before we went live about purpose,
mhm,
I think
mhm,
before this year in my life, I was a good entrepreneur. right? I always had a purpose, but in my mind, the idea of money was always there. And I
Mm,
realized that, yeah, a good entrepreneur makes good money and they're focused on money, but a great entrepreneur throws all of that away to focus on purpose. And I realized, and I went all in on my purpose. I went all in on that. That alignment to me has brought a lot of happiness, and I think it's brought even more prosperity. I think the fastest way to really achieve success in a business is by forgetting about the money, not worrying about the profit, and worrying about the mission and the purpose. All of the
mm,
prosperity will come as a byproduct of the fulfillment of your purpose. So that would, I guess, be my final thought, is just letting everyone know that, some of the good businesses in your life, they do what they do for money. But the best businesses in the entire world, they have a mission that they are, the dream that they're trying to kill entirely. And
mhm.
that's where you will find success.
I love that. I love it. And success looks so many different ways, so find out what it is for you and, know that it's possible, especially if you get yourself a really great coach like Sebastian. And, he also mentioned outsourcing things, and I'm all for that. Don't do all the things yourself so that you can live your very best life and have the time to do so. So, thank you so much again for being on the show today, Sebastian. I know we're your next best customer, and I am excited until the next show. I'm your host, Jessica Koch. This is Profound Professionals. We bring you industry experts globally that help improve your personal life, or help you grow your business, or help you live your very best life, or help you have all the money to do whatever you want to do today, tomorrow, and all the days in the future. So until next time, be kind to yourself out there. Be kind to each other, and we'll see you. Bye.